Okay, so for this one, this is really just more playing around with refining the edge of a selection. And because this horse has really flowing mane and tail, we're going to use the Smart Radius tool, and we're going to brush along the mane and tail. First, though, we need to grab the horse. So quick select is a good one for that. So just select the horse, and you'll find that parts of the horse are a little harder to grab, like the ears and some of the legs. So it's going to be one that you might end up having to go in and cleaning up the selection with the lassos. But first grab it. Go ahead and grab the mane and tail. You don't have to grab all the little wispy pieces. And don't worry, because you will, of course, be getting background too, but we'll fix that. And then when you go to grab the legs, make that brush small. And as I said, it's kind of hard to grab them without grabbing background in some cases. So just be aware of that you'll have to fix stuff. Especially these back legs are a little bit troublesome. See, that happens a lot. So I'm undoing, I'm going to try again. Okay, so for the back legs and for parts of this horse, I'm going to use the lassos. So I'm going to zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll use polygonal lasso. And I'm going to add to the selection, right? So I'm just adding in the pieces that were stubborn. On his hoof here too. And on this piece of the hoof where it's just so dark. And his little fetlock. And then the back legs too. I'm not using the magnetic lasso, and I'm not using it because I'm going to need to draw it out just because I know that, it's not going to see this edge. It's too dark. There isn't enough contrast. So then I'm going to go and get this part of his leg. And finally, I know that his ears aren't completely on there, so I'll do the ears too. And then I'm going to add this ear. And then once I have it, I'm going to go into Refine Edge. And we'll view him on just the transparent pixels. And then I'm going to Smart Radius him, but not a whole lot. I'm going to rely more on the brush because I find that when you raise the little slider up high, you lose big chunks of the body. So we want to avoid that. I'm also going to smooth just a little. And that kind of cleans up the edges of him too. And then now I'm going to go in with the brush, and you don't have to select anything. It's already selected. So as you just move out, here you'll see there's a brush. The controls are here. So this one will remove the dark pixels from the hair. And I'm going to brush over it. Now it's not going to be perfect. This tool does a great job, but it isn't always perfect. And because this horse was on a really dark background, it's probably going to have just some dark pixels on there, but I can really reduce it by brushing across all the dark areas. And before this tool existed, this was something that took a whole bunch of steps to accomplish the same thing. So this is a really nice tool. Not perfect, but definitely can do a pretty good job. Once I have that, now I'm going to output, and I'm going to output to a layer, new layer with layer mask. And we're doing that so that if there is any issues once we get out of this, we can fix them. And so now this, I have a mask. I'll click into the mask, and with the navigator, I'm just going to zoom in and just really look the horse over, make sure I'm not missing parts. It's pretty good. Notice the tip of this ear is a little messed up. So I could paint that back in. I need to be sure that I'm on the mask, not on the picture. And by default, once you output, you're not going to have the mask selected. You have to move the selection before you start to mask, or you'll be painting white paint on the horse. So we want white, right, on the mask with the brush. And you could just free paint this. You could also lasso first. So I could go in and I could draw the tip of that ear. And sometimes that's easier to have more control. And then now with the white paint, I'm just going to bring that ear back. Because remember, white will show, black hides. So that's what I want for that. If there's pieces missing, there's a little bit of this edge missing too, I'm noticing. And then once again, I'm going to paint with the white just to put that back. And you can kind of, if there's any parts of the horse that are kind of missing, put those back before you go and continue. The last part of this is simply to put an empty new layer full of color, just so you can see what the selection looks like. And to do that, we're going to make an empty new layer. So to do it, just the little new layer button is right next to the trash can in the bottom of the layer panel, right here. You just click it, and we'll fill that with a color. I recommend a dark color because this horse was on a dark background. So just pick a new color though than what the horse was on. So I'm picking this darkish red tone. And then I'm going to paint bucket it in, and the paint bucket is right here. It's under where the gradient is. So just right click, choose paint bucket. Make sure you're on the right layer when you paint bucket. Don't paint bucket into your horse. You want to paint bucket right into that new layer. And then it needs to be below the horse, so I'm just going to move it down. And that's the end of that. Just save it, last name, first name, EX11, and then you are good.